Question I recently asked myself is, what actually wins games in Gorilla Tag? Is it really all about mechanics, how people make it seem, or is there something more to good gameplay? I mean this in the sense of what makes TGT the best, and essentially what separates their gameplay from ours, and most importantly, how you can also apply what makes them the best. The separation between theirs and ours really comes down to something a lot more important than just pure game mechanic skill. I'm referencing something called game sense. Game sense can typically take years to master on your own, but hopefully this video can help you memorize certain patterns that can make it easier for you. Typically, there's a few different ways to think about how game sense works in Gorilla Tag. The first way is what to do and when to do it. This is awfully self-explanatory. This is one of the ones you can't necessarily train, but you can start consciously thinking about until you train it over time. What really this means is you see a certain pattern that you recognize, then you react off of that, and hopefully be as unpredictable as possible in the process. The unpredictability part mainly comes into play while running, but it can also be useful while tagging and going for cuts. So, in terms of cutting off, here's a few things you need to know. No common jumps. For example, if someone is here and looking straight on, they're probably long jumping. If they look left, then their hitbox would be misaligned to long jump, so that means they could either be going to there or to there. So I mean like that. So common things like that, this doesn't apply to the best of players, but if someone is going somewhere where there's a clear intended path, they're probably going to take that path. This is a good example of that, where if they're walking up the ramp, they're probably going to go all the way, and so you can get there before they do. Also, keep aware of common areas that your opponents go. Read your opponents and take mental notes of where they like to go. For example, if someone ends every route with a rotation to stump, then you can plan for that when you see that their route is starting to go dry and go to stump. Oh, I'm cool. I lost tracking. Also, be aware and take full advantage when people corner themselves. A way people very easily corner themselves is when they're getting chased like this, then they climb up. Now, unless they know how to handle this situation, it's very easy to do the wrong thing here. There's a few common paths that people take. They either cut back to tall tree, cut back to high wall, cut over to gazebo, or jump over near treehouse. Judging off of how few options they have, and also the fact that there are a lot more common options that people take. The most common is to gazebo, and how you can look for that is someone who's facing either a perfectly 180 from it, that means they're going to jump backwards like that, or when someone is elevatoring, then they look directly at the stump and check for opponents. The thing about them checking for opponents at that time is that you're already gonna be there, so it's at that point they're in the air, they can't change their path, and you win. Another common place that people get pinched into bad situations is corner walls. Walls such as stump wall, mid pig wall, death wall, back wall, high wall, and connecting wall. The thing so bad about this wall is there is absolutely nowhere to go that people won't expect. Maybe one or two spots, but if you do them commonly, people will cut them off. Here are the main options that people can go to when they're here. They could either wall run over to here, or somewhere in this area. They could wall run over to here or anywhere in this area. They could cut back to high plat, and that's it. And all these spots are semi far away from each other, and so it's very easy to differentiate which way they're going. subtle body language can be a pretty good hint towards that. Like where they're looking, where their hands are pointed. This is a subconscious thing people do. For example, I always catch myself while running like this when I'm verticaling. Also, how to make your branching more unpredictable. First step is know the layout of the branches inside out. It should be like your house, to where you don't really think about where you're going, you just kind of go there. Now this skill allows you to do a lot of things like this. I wasn't thinking about where I was landing, I just kind of landed where I knew there was a branch. And another insanely important thing is audio. Audio is incredibly overlooked and also important. You can pretty easily gauge where your opponents are in relation to you using only their hand tap noises. Also, recognizing which hand tap noises can let you know where they are. If I'm here and I hear metal, down there. If I'm here and I hear wood, as in that kind of wood, then that's the only spot they can be. Now, when you're running, there's a few things to keep in mind. First of all, never do the same strategy. So for example, this is a strategy I like to do at the very beginning of games, and it's a good example of one you shouldn't do twice. So, I like to climb up, then I take the long jump because I know I'm outside of hand tap radius, so now I'm on top of stump and they think I'm tall tree. Now, when you're against skilled players, they'll recognize that the second round you try it, so that's where you need to really brainstorm strategies that are fully unique. If they've seen anything like it, then they'll know how to play against it, and that's not what you want. So for example, if I do this first round, then I do this the second round, then I dismount the exact same, and so they think I'm gonna do the same strategy twice, but then I'm all the way at death wall when they're planning their cutoffs on top stump. Subverting people's expectations is key because they'll never know how to play against. Also, if you don't have memorized strategies, wing it. Once again, you're creating a completely original strategy, and if you can't even predict yourself, then they sure can't predict you. And also, subtle motions to do with your branching that'll help significantly making you more unpredictable. Don't always look where you're going. I usually look head on, and then I jump to where I want, usually with a sudden head motion, so I can still align the jump like that. Most common route starts like that. I am doing that to start, so already I'm doing a few unpredictable things. I'm looking forward, and I have my hand like I'm going to go up. So I immediately subvert their expectations by going here, and notice how I don't do a big ol' motion for that. That's insanely predictable. Instead, just do a little flick. So I just do a little flick instead of a drawn out motion. Then I'm looking this way, and I intentionally signal my body language I'm jumping here. Then I subvert and cut back, and a lot of the times this is an extremely common route, so I take advantage of the fact that they're going to predict that. Then I come over to here. Already they've either lost me or they haven't tagged me. Then take advantage that they're going to predict that you're going to do something unpredictable, contradict once again, then do the predictable route. Then just play mind games like that. No one will know how you play. Another big thing is creating your own sub-mechanics. You don't have to create the next big mechanic, but if you create a small one, like this is one I use a lot, if you create things like that, since it's yours and you've never shown it to anyone, hopefully, then they won't have a clue of how to play against it. Game sense is very important in Gorilla Tag, and I see a lot of mechanically insane people who are very easily cut off. Being that player is not very good for your survival in Gorilla Tag, so I hope that this helped you out a little bit, and thanks for watching, and hopefully this is the driving factor between a lot of pro teams who win all their scrims. So now that you know their secret, hopefully you can go put it to good use, and thanks for watching.